In the summer of 1902, a doctor in New York City sat down and counted. In just 3 months, 45,000 children under the age of 5 had died in his city alone. Not from war, not from plague, from milk. The same milk their mothers fed them every single morning. This is not a story about the past. This is a story about what happens when the one machine you trust most disappears. And history tells us it already happened once before.
Before we go further, you need to understand one thing. Your ancestors were not stupid. They were not careless. They were fighting a battle against invisible biology they could not see, could not understand, and had no weapon against. Every summer across America, the same thing happened. Temperatures rose, food rotted, and people died. They called it the sickly season. In cities like Philadelphia, Baltimore, and New York, the summer months were feared the same way people today fear a hurricane. Families buried food underground. They coated meat in salt so thick it was barely edible. They boiled everything, not because they understood bacteria, which wouldn't be discovered until 1861, but because experience had taught them that cooked food killed fewer people. This was the daily reality for every human being on Earth for thousands of years, and it was about to get much, much worse. But the most dangerous thing they consumed wasn't meat. It wasn't river water. It was something every American family trusted completely, and it was being secretly weaponized against them by the very people selling it. Milk. In 1880, milk was considered the most pure, most essential food a child could consume. Doctors prescribed it. Mothers trusted it completely. What they didn't know was this. The milk being delivered to their doors every morning came from cows so sick, so diseased, and so malnourished that the milk was gray when it left the udder. Not white, gray. Dairy sellers operating in cramped, filthy urban sheds faced a problem. How do you make gray, rotting milk look white and fresh? The answer was chalk and formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, the exact same chemical used in funeral homes to preserve dead bodies, was poured directly into milk supplies by the gallon. It stopped the milk from visibly curdling. It kept it looking fresh for days. Mothers across America bought it, poured it into their children's cups, and had no idea. It had a name. Journalists called it embalmed milk. And between 1880 and 1902, medical investigators estimated it killed over 100,000 American children. The government knew, dairy companies knew, and for 20 years, nothing was done. But the embalmed milk scandal was only one piece of a much larger, darker system, because the real horror wasn't just what was in the food, it was who was profiting from the rot. While milk was being embalmed, the American meat industry was running an entirely different operation. Chicago, 1890. The meatpacking plants there processed over 14 million animals every single year. They supplied beef, pork, and canned meat to the entire country and to American soldiers fighting overseas. In the summer heat, without refrigeration, meat spoiled in hours. The solution? Butchers used a chemical called preservaline, a mixture of borax, formaldehyde, and sulfuric acid to dye rotting gray meat back to a fresh red color. The U.S. Army called it embalmed beef. Soldiers during the Spanish-American War in 1898 reported that the canned meat they were given smelled like a hospital ward. Hundreds got sick. Some died. It took one man to blow the entire thing open. In 1906, a journalist named Upton Sinclair went undercover in the Chicago meatpacking plants for 7 weeks. What he described inside was so revolting, so shocking, that President Theodore Roosevelt personally read the manuscript and reportedly pushed his breakfast away and never ate sausage again for the rest of his life. While the food system was rotting from the inside, one man decided to do something that every expert told him was impossible. He was going to take winter itself and sell it to the world. His name was Frederick Tudor. In 1806, Tudor looked at the frozen lakes of New England and saw something no one else could see, a commodity worth more than gold in the summer heat. His plan was simple. Insane, but simple. He would cut enormous blocks of ice from frozen lakes, pack them in sawdust to slow the melting, load them onto ships, and sail them to the Caribbean, to the American Deep South, and eventually all the way to India. Everyone laughed. The Boston newspapers called him a fool. The idea of shipping ice to the tropics was, in their words, as absurd as shipping sand to the Sahara. They were wrong. Within 20 years, the American ice trade was a $660 million industry, larger than the entire railroad system. In cities across the South, an ice box, an insulated wooden cabinet with a tray for a block of ice, became the most important piece of furniture in a kitchen. For the first time in human history, the average American family could keep food cold. Death rates from food poisoning dropped 30% in a single decade. But the ice trade had one fatal weakness, a weakness that no one wanted to discuss. What happens when winter doesn't come? In 1890, it didn't, and the fragility of the entire system was exposed overnight. But the machine they built to replace it, the first home refrigerator, was not the safe, quiet box you have today. It was, for 20 years, actively trying to kill the people using it. The collapse of the ice trade created an engineering emergency. In 1913, a Fred Wolf invented the first home electric refrigerator, the Domelres. It sat on top of your icebox like a mechanical brain, running compressor coils to generate artificial cold. But it was not safe. Early refrigerants used sulfur dioxide and ammonia as refrigerants. Both are highly toxic gases. A refrigerator leak in the middle of the night wasn't just an inconvenience, it was potentially lethal. In 1929, a refrigerant leak at a hospital in Cleveland killed over 100 patients in a single night. The race was on to find a safe solution. In 1930, a team of engineers at General Motors invented Freon, a non-toxic, non-flammable refrigerant that finally made the modern refrigerator possible. Within 15 years, refrigerators were in 60% of American homes. The results were staggering. Infant mortality dropped by 40%. The average American lifespan jumped from 49 years in 1900 to 68 years by 1950. Cities that previously couldn't sustain large populations in summer, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Miami, began to explode in size. The refrigerator didn't just preserve food, it restructured human civilization. 72 hours. That is how long it takes a modern refrigerator, once the power goes out, to reach room temperature. 72 hours until your kitchen becomes the year 1850. In 2003, a blackout hit the northeastern United States and Canada. 55 million people lost power simultaneously. Supermarkets closed, and within 48 hours, health officials were issuing warnings across 8 states. Do not eat unrefrigerated food. Throw it away. The entire system that added 30 years to the average human lifespan runs on a single invisible thread of electricity. Your refrigerator is not an appliance. It is the most important machine in your home. And for most of human history, it did not exist. The children of 1902 did not have it. The mothers who unknowingly fed their babies embalmed milk did not have it. The soldiers eating chemically dyed rotten beef in Cuba did not have it. We do. The question history is asking us right now is not whether we appreciate it. The question is, what else are we trusting completely, blindly, that is already starting to rot from the inside? Enter the archive. Subscribe to Hist Discover. The next file is already waiting for you.